I wouldn't.
What choice do I have?
We all have choices. Live in the past, or live for the future.
And my revenge?
Revenge is too heavy a burden to carry. You are a free man. It's time you start acting like it.
Hey, what's up? That's right, guys. Another alternate route, and this time, the route of revenge. Will the Subaru fare well on this route? Probably not. Does Don Ramon like this route? No, he doesn't. But I'm sure you'll like it. What about you to like, for God's sake? Subscribe to the channel, man. We're almost at 5,000. In addition to the original story, the ReZero series features alternate storylines that tell what would happen if Subaru made different choices. Unlike the alternate stories you're used to seeing on this channel, this one has nothing to do with a deadly sin, but rather with the mobile game called ReZero Lost Memories. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Aganau IF, or better known as the Route of Revenge. The point of divergence in this route, where the story changes course, is in the legendary episode 15 of the first season. This episode, in my opinion, has the best ending of all the ReZero episodes. Him losing his mind while that song was playing with the credits rolling, man, it's so cool. There's no way around it. As you all remember, in that episode Subaru almost dies, and Rem ends up all battered on the sidewalk, but she manages to save him too. Subaru picks up the dead Rem in his arms and takes her to Roswell's mansion. Upon arriving there, Subaru finds everyone dead and frozen. The episode ends with Subaru losing his mind. Literally. Unlike the original story, in this route Subaru does not decide to go to the mansion. Rem tells him to live, but he absorbs it so much that he says, "I will never die again. I will never use return by death again. Now my life is to kill Petelgeuse." That's exactly what he says. His entire life now revolves around chasing after that guy. He's gonna get revenge no matter what. Subaru exits the cave, carries Rem in his arms, and heads in the opposite direction from the mansion. And as with all IFs, this was a terrible choice. As he walked, he couldn't think of anything else but Petelgeuse's face. He could only remember his laughter as he contorted Rem's body. He was already beginning to lose his sanity. After walking for a while, all disheveled with Rem in his arms, he finds Reinhard on the way to Roswell's mansion. Reinhard says he was looking for Subaru and is happy to have found him alive. Subaru tells Reinhard that he wanted to bury Rem, but he says it's better to take care of his injuries first, right? But obviously Subaru arrived and said, "Dude, I don't give a fuck." He completely ignores what Reinhard said and says he's going to bury Rem first. After walking a bit with Reinhard, Subaru finds a field of flowers that are the same color as Rem's hair. He takes that field of flowers and buries Rem. Here's an interesting detail. Subaru says there's a field of flowers over there, but Reinhard can't see any field at all. Guys, the kid's already becoming schizophrenic and the journey has barely begun. After burying Rem, Reinhard says he will accompany Subaru to the mansion, but Subaru keeps saying he wants to kill, and kill. He was already completely consumed by the thirst for revenge, but he was so badly injured that he ends fainting. After literally sleeping for a week, he wakes up in Reinhard's mansion. He slept the whole time because he was so injured and tired. Subaru woke up and was still just saying he was gonna kill Petelgeuse. That kid just won't stop, will he? But things get interesting here, guys. After he woke up, he stayed hearing both Petelgeuse's laughter and Rem beside him. Well, man, Rem has now become a burden. But Baru, what was Rem saying to him? My friend, the things she was saying weren't very good. She said that Petelgeuse really had to be killed. That's pretty strange coming from her. Reinhard sees Subaru waking up and says that he was asleep for a week, but his injuries were much better. Subaru thanks Reinhard for his help. Reinhard says it was nothing. After all, they are friends. So, it seems that's what friends are for. Subaru asks about the village of Arlam, but Reinhard just shakes his head. Everyone there was already dead. Reinhard probably killed Puck too. Subaru also asked if he saw a strange skinny man in dark clothes. Reinhard says no, he's never seen anyone like that. In this scene, Subaru gets kinda pissed off because Reinhard couldn't stop the attack, much less capture Petelgeuse. He keeps punching the bed in anger. Are you mad? Are you mad, man? Subaru was so angry that Petelgeuse had run away that from banging his arm on the bed so much, he started reopening his wounds. Reinhard stares in shock at the angry Subaru. He stops and tells Reinhard that he needs to get stronger. He needed the strength to kill that damn man. Reinhard agrees to help him, right? Because training with a sword is what the guy does best. He tells Subaru that he will be his teacher and will bring out the best in him. Hey guys, check this out. An alternate route where Subaru trains with Reinhard. Anyone who's been following the old channel knows what happens when you train with Reinhard, right? Man, this guy is simply going to turn into a fighting machine. A month passes and Reinhard complains that Subaru should be more observant. He was attacking without thinking. Even at this point in his career, Subaru has already become a formidable swordsman. He still made a lot of mistakes. Dude, look at this. The guy trained for 1 month. Man, 1 month. And he's already become a great swordsman. I'm telling you, training with that crazy guy, that divine protection from the coach, is completely completely broken. Holy shit. Subaru thanks Reinhardt for his help and says that he really feels better. He really feels stronger. Reinhardt says that as long as he puts in the effort, he will always get good results. Yeah, with divine protection, it's easy, right? Let's be honest. The problem was that even after training straight for a month with the Sword Saint, he still wasn't satisfied. Subaru said that it still wasn't enough. He needed to get even stronger. As he spoke, the Subaru surged toward Reinhardt at an astonishing speed, but he is easily stopped by Reinhardt. Subaru never was and never will be a match for him in a duel. Subaru wanted to keep fighting, but Reinhardt told him to stop and rest. But obviously, you know, Reinhardt, I don't give a fuck. He ignores Reinhardt and gets up, all disheveled, to attack him again. But once again, he lands a single blow on Subaru and he falls to the ground. Reinhardt is saddened because he didn't train Subaru all this time, only for him to die for nothing. Reinhardt didn't like how things were going. Subaru was so blinded and desperate for revenge that he wasn't even training properly anymore. He just wanted to attack. Reinhardt realizes this and says that until he returns to being who he was, he won't be able to train Subaru anymore. Just press one button, man. Keep pressing the button, and I still beat everyone. Subaru, ReZero is not a game. Yes, look here. Reinhardt says that the people who died wouldn't want to see Subaru with that hateful and angry look on his face. They wanted to see Subaru smile again. And obviously Subaru responds sharper than Reinhardt's sword, right bro? Dude, I don't give a fuck. Subaru gets angry that Reinhardt isn't gonna train him anymore and punches Reinhardt in the chest. Baru, how did he hit him? Reinhardt let him. Yeah, it's in the lore. Subaru thanks Reinhardt for helping him and leaves. 20 years passed and the vengeance in his heart wouldn't stop. Crazy, it's been a while. 20 years. That was the biggest time skip I've ever seen in ReZero. Of all the ones I've ever seen, this was the biggest. And according to my calculations, the Subaru on that route is 38 years old. I think the only route that comes close to his age is the Sloth route, which also puts him at around 30 years old. The problem is that those 20 years only made his situation worse. Every day, what was happening, his hatred grew. Subaru arrives in the Lugnica slum, heading towards Old Rom's hut. He leaves Petrasha outside and asks her to wait. But Baru, how come he has Petrasha? My brother, I have absolutely no idea. Just follow the script. Subaru knocks on the door and Rom asks for the password. Noble person outside, what is 9 plus 10? What's 9 plus 10, the foreign meme over there? It's 21. That's the correct answer, go in. He opens the door and the two sit down to talk. Subaru was there to learn more about the witches cult. He asks Rom if he has any more information about them, but Rom says no. Subaru questions him to find out if he's really telling the truth. He says he has no reason to lie, and taking advantage of being there, Rom asks if Subaru is going to pay his debt. Okay, so now old Rom is not only a drug dealer, but also a loan shark. Subaru said that he would pay soon, and that Rom should just wait. Rom is somewhat doubtful because he always says that, and he says it's better for him to get a job soon. Going around hunting cultists isn't going to pay his bills. Subaru hears this, looks at him and says, brother, you're a moneylender and a smuggler. Are you really going to lecture me? Rom just looks and says, yeah, that's true, man. Sorry about that. Subaru realizes he has nothing more to say there and he leaves the cabin. But outside, guys, there were two thugs trying to rob Petrash. Dude, those guys were trying to steal a land dragon. It's starting to look like São Paulo. You leave your motorcycle on the street for 2 minutes and it's already gone. This is a robbery handed all over. No, this is a robbery handed all over. The guy tries to rob Subaru with a knife, except Subaru has a mechanical arm. His mechanical arm is very overpowered. The guy tries to stab him and he simply blocks and ignores him. But Baru, how is that possible? How does he have a mechanical arm? Hey guys, I wanted to know too, but honestly, I thought it was really beautiful. His arm is really cool. The thing is, Tepe never explains this at any point in the story, right? It's like Al's clothes, the guy just has them, and that's it. So Tepe, how do you explain this? The game goes on, my friend. The game goes on. Subaru beats up the guys and asks them if they know anything about the witches cult. The crazy guy's in shock, right? After all, the guy suddenly had a mechanical arm and then asked about an evil cult. Those guys were in shock, man. But unfortunately for both of them, they had no information about the witches cult. Subaru realizes he can't get anything out of them and orders Petrasha to give them both a whack with her tail. Dude, you saw that? There couldn't have been a worse person to rob, right? They had to steal the protagonist. Those guys are so stupid. After that, Subaru gets on Petrasha and drives away. As he walked along Petrasha Street, he complained that the service was too quiet. He wanted the cult to do something big, so they could fight and kill Petelgeuse soon. Hey guys, everything is too quiet, it's strange. After Subaru drives Petrasha for quite a while, he takes a break. Subaru was visibly disappointed. Another day of hunting the cult and he found nothing. With each passing day, his hatred grew. From the day he parted ways with Reinhardt, he used his anger as fuel to destroy the witches cult. And because Subaru is constantly chasing after the cult, he's also constantly on edge. He's always broke, always hungry, and always injured, no matter what, if it happened. And besides being constantly injured, he also had a kind of phantom pain in his prosthetic arm. Hey guys, for those who don't know, phantom limb pain is a type of neurological problem that a person experiences when a limb has been amputated. The person experiences pain as if they still had the limb, but in reality they don't. It's like Subaru feeling pain in his metal arm. It doesn't make sense to feel pain there, but he still does. Sometimes night falls, and Subaru and Patrasha lie down to camp. Subaru apologizes to Patrasha because he doesn't have all the food she deserves and only has a single apple. He decides to give that apple to Patrasha to eat. And since Patrasha is awesome, right? Because that dragon is awesome, she knew that Subaru hadn't eaten anything. Even though he lied and said he had already eaten, she doesn't want to eat at all. Honestly guys, forget Emilia, forget Rem. The best waifu in ReZero is Patrash, no doubt about it. And since Subaru can't convince Patrasha to eat everything, he cuts the apple in half and shares it with her. While he was resting beside Patrasha, he realized that he really had no food left. Seriously, a single apple and she was out of food? He didn't want to accept the fact that Rom was right. He really did have to get a job or earn money somehow. The problem was that he had no idea what he wanted to do. He thought about having a simple and honest job, but that would be difficult in his condition. The guy seemed pretty dangerous, you know? Imagine Deku from My Hero Academia going to work with his suit all torn up and covered in blood. Those guys would at least be afraid of him, right? So he probably wouldn't be hired, and Subaru is in the same state. Subaru slowly begins to doze off, and he hears Petelgeuse's laughter, but he knows it's a hallucination, so he tells him to shut up. Meanwhile, he felt the phantom pain in his arm again. He holds his right arm to stop the pain, and not only did Petelgeuse appear, but Rem appeared as well. She would always appear to him every night as if she were a ghost. But Subaru also knew that she was a hallucinating. But unlike Petelgeuse, when told to shut up, he would stop. Not Rem. Rem always stayed with him all night. Rem tells Subaru that she wishes he would exert himself less, that he's carrying too much pain, and Subaru is only making fun of her because he knows she's hallucinating. She's just a product of his subconscious telling him to slow down, so he doesn't end up dying. Rem mentions that he could go to Roswell's mansion to resolve the money issue. There were many valuable things there that he could take, and Roswell wouldn't mind, right? Of course not, man. The guy's rotting in the sanctuary, and since Subaru didn't have much of a choice but to do it, he kind of agrees to go there. And then Rem mentions to Subaru that there's a strange rumor that the mansion is haunted by ghosts now. That's why nobody went to steal things, because everyone is afraid of those so-called ghosts. And obviously, dude, Subaru didn't care about that because, well, there's literally a ghost right next to him, because it could be worse, right? Besides that, he was terrifying as hell. The guy was practically a berserker. Ha, ghosts, dead souls, crazy. If you're scary, I'm a freak. Let's go. Arriving at the mansion in the middle of the night, Subaru arrives at the door and says, "Tadaima." Just kidding. He didn't say that. So I'm finally back. Subaru had avoided the mansion for over 20 years, but that day he went there all at once to help Patrasha get better and pay off his debts. Entering the mansion, he feels a wave of nostalgia brush against his face. His vision was so familiar that it brought back memories to his mind. A place that was once so pleasant and tidy now contained only ruins, and although much was badly damaged, there were still many valuable items there. Chandeliers, silverware, man, there was a lot of stuff intact. As he packed his things into the bag, he looked at the mess on the sidewalk and remembered to clean things up for Roswell and talk to the maids. It was as if he were reliving that moment again, but then he suppressed his feelings. There was nothing left to do there. Everyone was already dead. After the dining room, he went to the kitchen. There he remembered Ram nagging him and Rem helping him with his chores. Even suppressing the nostalgic feeling, it was impossible for him not to become depressed. Subaru wonders if these were the ghosts people were talking about. It wasn't frightening for him, but it was very sad. The ghost he saw was his past, and it only made him more and more melancholic. He passes through two more rooms. The dressing room where he first dressed to get his butler's outfit, his old bedroom, and even the storeroom. He was already completely lost in his thoughts, but when he went to open the warehouse door, he inadvertently stumbled upon Beatrice's forbidden library. But unlike literally every other room in the mansion, her library was intact, and Beatrice too. Subaru was in shock. He truly thought he was seeing a ghost. He saw a ghost. Oh no, not that joke. While he stared at her, Beatrice complained that he continued to be a boring person. Subaru thought it was all in his head, but in reality, she was truly alive. The last and only survivor of the mansion was Beatrice. Have you always been here? Yes, I suppose. But I was alone all this time. Again, I suppose? But why didn't you age then? Fuck you, I suppose. Beatrice asked Subaru why he's wearing those strange clothes. The clothes he was wearing were identical to the clothes Aldebaran had, but he doesn't say why. He only says it's part of his revenge. He says he will find and kill whoever killed Rem and the others, the Petelgeuse. And the moment Beatrice hears this, she focuses her attention on the moment. Subaru asks her why she stayed in the library for so long, but she doesn't answer. She said that doesn't interest Subaru, and since the main route never happened, Subaru doesn't know her past. But we all know, man, it's incredibly sad. Subaru asks Beatrice if she can make a contract with him. him. He wanted her strength so he could get revenge, but she wouldn't accept it. His revenge has nothing to do with her. Subaru loses his patience because even after he says that everyone died because of Petelgeuse, Beatrice still isn't going to help him. Subaru's view was that Beatrice didn't give a damn about the deaths of everyone who was in the mansion, but that wasn't quite it. She and Subaru end up fighting, and Subaru says that for 20 years, he has been bitter, searching for Petelgeuse. Beatrice says that it's not fair to compare his 20 years with what she went through, because his 20 years of pain compared to her 400 years of pain was nothing. In short, the two of them just fight all the time. Subaru stops and realizes that nothing is going to happen, apologizes to Beatrice, and says he's leaving. He wasn't going to argue anymore, even without her help. He was going to take justice into his own hands. He says he understands her choices, and that he will never return to the mansion. He turns around and walks towards the door. At that moment, Beatrice slams her book shut, and he unconsciously turns to look. She looked very sad. "Are you leaving already?" Man, that's so sad, oh my god. Subaru takes everything he was told he could and leaves the mansion, never to return. The very next day, Subaru goes to old Rom's cabin. Once again, he demonstrates all the valuable things he has achieved. Rom questions the coat of arms on the pieces he acquired, but he doesn't say where he got them. He's just asking him to assess their value. Rom mentions that the candle holder alone covered his entire debt, plus the interest he had accrued. Subaru could sell the rest of the items to try and get even more money. With that money, he could afford to buy food for Petrash and a better place to sleep. Man, Subaru really loves that dragon, doesn't he? Subaru asks Rome once more if he has any information about the cult to share, but this time, Rome just stays quiet. Subaru finds Rome's behavior strange and questions him again, but Rome remains silent. Subaru loses his temper and slams Rome against the wall with enormous force. Guys, you need to understand this. Rome was a species of giants and possessed monstrous strength, and Subaru was holding him off with great ease. The Subaru in this route is probably the strongest version of himself. Rome eventually gives in and tells Subaru that he heard a rumor about people wearing clothes similar to those in the cult, and the place where they were was called Delta. Subaru hears this and drops old Rome. He gives him 3 gold coins and runs off with Petrasha to that place. Rom sees him running and calls him an idiot. I don't know guys, but I think Rom here didn't want to talk because he was afraid Subaru would die. The guy is just a wreck all the time. And perhaps Rom also had a certain level of sympathy for Subaru. He must have kind of liked his friendship and didn't want him to die, which is why he kept avoiding telling him about the cult. Subaru, over those 20 years, conducted extensive research on the cult. He knew how they operated, he knew about the secret camps, and even how they hid among the civilians. But it's very difficult to find those guys, because they're spies. Guys could easily disguise themselves and work as normal people. But behind the scenes, man, those guys are cultists. It's the same thing that happens in the first season. A crazy guy with the cart leaves. The guy seemed like a normal person, but then you find out he's a damn cultist. Subaru eventually finds the place old Rom mentioned and lies down with Petrash to wait. He was completely exhausted, and not wanting to miss this opportunity, he rested a bit to regain his strength. While he is sleeping, Subaru wakes up in a dream. He was in the capital, on a street at night. He was a little confused, but he could see that it was one of the streets in the capital of Lugnica. Suddenly, Emilia appears, but without a face. Emilia arrives at Subaru and says that the puppet show is about to begin. And he was like, "Hey Emilia, what kind of puppet show is this? And what are you talking about?" Wow, even Rem shows up. But unlike Emilia, she has a face. She tells Subaru that she reserved the best seats to see the puppet show. Rem, Subaru, and the faceless Emilia sit next to each other. And who appears on stage? It's Petelgeuse. Petelgeuse introduces himself and begins acting alongside a girl using a chain gun. Seeing this, Subaru begins to sweat profusely, as if he knew what was about to happen. Suddenly, that girl stops moving and starts writhing all over. Everyone there was loving the play, but Subaru was desperate. Subaru tried to scream, but nothing came out. When he turned to run away with Rem, who was beside him, she was no longer there. Rem was actually on stage, all contorted up. Witness this, keep it in your heart. This is you. This ending is your fault. You killed her. Stop. You. Stop! You're very slothful. Suddenly, Subaru wakes up screaming. He was having a truly terrible nightmare, and when he woke up, the hallucination of Rem was still beside him, asking if he was okay. Subaru said he was fine, and that it was just a silly dream. Rem didn't seem convinced, so she insisted that he talk to her so she could relax a bit, right? Subaru thinks about what he could say to her, but then he remembers that she is a figment of his imagination. He's basically talking to himself. Guys, the kid isn't just weird, he's schizophrenic. But he knows that ignoring Rem won't work, because she's right there beside him all the time, so he kind of brings up a random topic. He decides to talk about Beatrice. He recounts that he managed to find her again, that she was alive, that her library was also intact, and says that she hadn't changed at all physically. Rem says she misses her, the moments they spent together. Then he asks if he wouldn't like to go back to the mansion to do more looting. Damn, dude. Rem on this route is just looting, right? Every time it's go there, get it, steal more. steal more. He replies to her that even if he doesn't actually answer, she already knows the answer. It's inside his head. Rem just smiles and says that he's a very kind man. Daylight arrives and Rem disappears. He takes advantage of this brief moment alone and takes another nap. After Subaru rested for only a few hours, he got up with Patrasha and walked away. A short time later, he finds the forest where the cultists were. The rumors were true, guys. The cult really was there. Walking through the foliage, Subaru sees 3 cultists conversing. Subaru even considered waiting to see what they would do, but he was so bloodthirsty that he decided to kill all 3 of them right away. Patrasha, seeing that Subaru decided to do this, becomes very worried because, after all, he's putting himself in danger again. Subaru smiles at her and says that nothing will happen and that he will return safe and sound just like always. Approaching from behind, Subaru silently uses Shamak to quickly kill the 3 cultists. They didn't even have a chance to react. Subaru has been training his hearing all this time so that when he's using Shamak, he can hear who's near him and won't have to rely on his sight. And of course, there was a hierarchy within the cult, and Subaru knew that. Inside Shamak, he ended up hearing someone approaching, and it was a much more experienced cultist. Subaru diverts. He was grazed by several attacks while trying to hit the guy as well. They were both blind, but they knew exactly where each other was. Subaru had a little more difficulty against these cultists, but he still managed to win. But that's not right, guys. What was the guy like? He was all beaten up on the sidewalk. Subaru was extremely exhausted, but he knew that if he rested, the cult might disappear again and he would lose this opportunity. That was something Subaru couldn't tolerate. Following behind Petelgeuse, he wouldn't stop calling him a bastard until Petelgeuse was dead. He wasn't going to stop. Subaru ends up attracting a lot of attention, and other cultists call for reinforcements. He used Shamak more times and killed many more cultists. The problem, guys, is that he was already very tired. His whole body was aching. He was covered in blood, but it wasn't just his blood. He was managing to get revenge on the cultists who had ruined his life. After killing another group, Subaru hears a strange sound. Suddenly, Subaru sees the shadowy hands behind him, but because he could see it, he dodged it very easily, emerging from the forest only to hear a familiar voice. Petelgeuse was in front of him. Subaru was in shock. Finally, the man he most wanted to see dead was standing in front of him. Petelgeuse kept wondering why Subaru could see his invisible hands, and Subaru just didn't respond, which made Petelgeuse even angrier than he already was. There was no way anyone but him could see his authority, right? At least that's what he thought, and that is something reason Petelgeuse stops to think. Even though that's impossible, right? That's really interesting. Would you be the pride? Man, what a terrible imitation, and it's obvious that this whole bishop thing was pure bullshit with Subaru, right? He simply didn't care about that and went straight for Petelgeuse. Guys, you have no idea how strong Subaru is on this route, man. He's incredibly strong. He killed all the cultists in Petelgeuse's hideout and was still fighting with him wounded. Logically, Subaru took a lot of punishment, but he managed to stab Petelgeuse in the chest with a blade, and that ended up piercing his heart. That's right, guys, he killed Petelgeuse on the first try, without dying even once. Damn, this is unprecedented. Dude, and man, check out the kid's face. He was loving it. I'm sure he would do it again. The problem, guys, is that Petelgeuse has those famous fingers. Do you remember his little fingers? So the main Petelgeuse died, but he jumped into the red-haired finger that appears in the anime. And then he went and got Subaru, right? I was completely screwed. There wasn't anything I could do. Before Subaru finally dies at the hands of Petelgeuse, Beatrice appears out of nowhere and saves the kid. Oh, you lousy kid. Beatrice manages to catch Subaru and escape with him. And she asked him not to move so much because he was very close to dying. And she even says that she had to take him to Felix because he was very hurt. Guys, for Beatrice to say that she has to go to Felix to cure him, it means things were really bad. Probably one more minute fighting against Petelgeuse, and Subaru would have certainly died. They go after Felix, who worked at a medical clinic. When he got there, he was very angry because he hadn't been able to kill Petelgeuse, and had let him escape once again. Beatrice helped him lie down on the bed because he was feeling really bad, man. And he asks again if she would make a deal with him to help her kill Petelgeuse, but she doesn't answer. She only asks if he would let her die with Subaru if he were willing. And Subaru doesn't know how to answer that very well. He just comments that she might die, or she might not. He doesn't know how to confirm it. And she simply accepts the answer and says that she has a way to defeat Petelgeuse. We already know how, right? But whatever. A few minutes later, Felix arrives. Hey guys, check out the kid's outfit. Skin unlocked. Felix, the moneylender. Honestly, I thought the kid's suit was really cool, man. Subaru saw Felix and said that he hadn't seen him in a long time and was happy to see that he was doing well. But the truth is, guys, Felix wasn't doing well at all. Just like on Pride AF, after Crush died trying to defeat the whale alone, Felix ended up suffering a very significant memory loss because basically Crush was erased by the whale. So that means Felix is very mentally impaired. Since he spent most of his life with Crush and remembers almost nothing, neither who he is nor who he was, the guy is really lost. Subaru asks Felix if he will help Subaru in his revenge revenge against Petelgeuse. Felix replies that no, because he wants to stay at the clinic for personal reasons. The problem, guys, is that Subaru said he knows why Felix doesn't remember anything, and that drove Felix crazy. Felix asks Subaru why, but he doesn't answer. Then Felix begins to torture Subaru by boiling his blood, and this brings Subaru even closer to death. Subaru says that if he dies, Felix will never know the truth. Felix realizes he's messing things up and gives up on killing Subaru. And of course Felix gets pissed, right? Because, well, Subaru is using information as blackmail. Felix says he'll help Subaru in exchange for him knowing what happened. That's why Felix joins the group. Subaru had managed, albeit momentarily, to gain the help of 2 people to defeat Petelgeuse, Felix and Beatrice. After a few days, Subaru manages to recover from his mortal wounds. He returns to old Rom's cabin. Subaru asks Rom for the dragon chariot because they're taking a larger group this time. Petelgeuse would show his face again, and Subaru wanted to be prepared. Subaru heads towards the capital to find a specific person. Subaru talks to some demi-humans in a bar and then goes outside. And who is outside, guys? Exactly Elsa, the bowel hunter. It's incredible. In every if, she's either dead or helping Subaru, man. There's no way around it. It's destiny. Subaru asks for her help to fight a very strong target, Petelgeuse. She agrees to join them for the work and says she even feels like opening Subaru's stomach right there because it was quite nostalgic. She was remembering the time she tried to kill him and failed. But since she's a professional, she said she won't cut open Subaru's stomach and will accept his job. But she said she'll only leave the next day because she still has some work to do that day. Poor guy who died for her, right? As night fell, Subaru and his friends went upstairs to sleep in the rooms above the bar where they had been. Right after Subaru fell asleep, he had another strange dream. He was dreaming that he was in the mansion and Rem was showing him a book. That book had recipes for food, and some of them also included mayonnaise. Rem and Subaru go to Beatrice's room. They're laughing together there, even though Beatrice doesn't like it so much. Subaru wakes up the next day and thinks he was selfish to ask Beatrice for help without caring about her answer. He felt bad after the dream. After everyone woke up, they gathered and went to the carriage, and from there they returned to old Rom's cabin. When he got there, Rom was like, "Dude, are you serious? This woman again? I can't take it anymore, man." Subaru says it's all good because, well, she's with them. While Rom questioned Subaru's sanity, he questioned what was going on with Subaru. He says he gathered more people for the trip. Subaru says he will pay for the information and asks what the new information is. Rom mentions that there's a rumor of a sword called Spirit Slayer in Count Ridgeback's zone. And let's be honest, a sword called Spirit Slayer would be great for Subaru to use on Petelgeuse, right? Rom even said that the Count collected magical items and ended up going bankrupt from trying to acquire so many Methia. And of course, along with the items, he had the legendary sword with the title of Spirit Slayer. Felix mentions that he knew this Count and was aware of his history. He died 10 years ago from an illness and left all his treasure in his kingdom. Then you ask me, "Hey Baru, but how come nobody has taken his treasure since it's been there for 10 years? Okay guys, I'll explain why. His area is clogged with Maju, like a lot of Maju, man. There were so many magical items there that it ended up attracting a lot of creatures. And consequently, nobody went there, right bro? What if the guy dies trying to get the treasure there? Subaru shows no fear of going and accepts the challenge. Going after something that could destroy Petelgeuse would be very worthwhile for him. Rom says worriedly with Subaru because, like, it's not a good idea to go there, right? If the rumor is true, they could die. But Subaru, you know guys, bro, I screwed up. And the funniest part was Rom asking Subaru's friends why he was going there. "Beatrice, why are you going there?" I want to help Subaru. "And you, Felix?" I want to help Subaru because I want my memories back." "And you, Elsa?" It's because I like dangerous places, Damn. Rom tells Subaru to take care of himself and that he doesn't care much about money at the moment. He just wants Subaru to return safely so they can have a drink together again. Damn man, Rom really cares about the old kid. It's kind of sad. Everyone grabs their things and heads to the Count's territory. Upon arrival, they set up camp near the area where the campsites are located. Subaru complains about Elsa's jokes, like when she says she's gonna rip open everyone's stomach, especially Patrasha's. Man, if you mention Patrasha, Subaru can't stand it, dude. Then Elsa starts saying that Patrasha is an amazing dragon, a very strong dragon who always helps Subaru. Subaru was jealous. And Felix comments that if they're going to fight, they should do it far away. Subaru says that nothing will happen, even though Elsa wants to fight. Felix asks where Subaru got Patrasha, right? Because, well, they were talking about Patrasha, so just tell him already. And thank you, Tape. Thank you. At least he told us that. Subaru said that during one of the raids, he encountered the cult and ended up getting badly injured and passed out. When he woke up, Patrasha was by his side protecting him. Subaru says it could only be fate because, man, what a coincidence that Patrasha met him, dude. And Patrasha is also a great partner. She was always loyal to Subaru, and her loyalty was so great that if anyone tried to give her food, she wouldn't eat it. She only eats the things that Subaru gives her. And in the middle of this conversation, all of a sudden, they hear sounds approaching. Suddenly, red monkeys jump on them with pointed branches. Man, those guys had the nerve to put the monkey Maju in there, man. Dude, it's a monkey. Elsa quickly rips open the bellies of all the monkeys that tried to catch Subaru. Dude, Elsa being in the group is absurd. Several people tried to kill Subaru, but Elsa managed to take care of them all. But even though Elsa managed to kill several All at once, there were many monkeys there, many Majus cornering them. Just as Subaru was about to be hit, Mimi appeared and saved his life. Seriously, man, where did this shit come from? Tappe, seriously, what the hell is this, man? Dude, why Mimi out of nowhere? I didn't understand anything. The story doesn't say, but after the Iron Wolves disbanded, Mimi ended up becoming a wanderer. And I don't know what kind of luck Subaru had for Mimi to be nearby, and hear that everyone was screwed. I found that very impressive, but oh well, let's stick to the script. Let's go. Mimi steps between them and starts helping him, throwing magic in animals. After they manage to defeat the first wave, Mimi stopped to talk to Subaru. Mimi asks why they are in that area full of Maju, and Felix ends up cutting Subaru off, saying it's for his revenge against the cult. After hearing this, Mimi decides to help Subaru even more because she, some time ago, had lost a cousin to the cult, but she managed to get her revenge, and supporting Subaru's revenge in that would be very good for her as well. That's right guys, the team is complete now. We have a schizophrenic, an amnesiac, a murderer, a loli, and a furry. The team is doing well, huh? After chasing away the devil's monkeys, they finally find the Count's mansion. The sword was getting closer and closer. There were even more Maju inside, and it was so easy for Mimi and Elsa to kill them that the two were competing to see who could kill the most. Subaru and the others managed to access the lower floors and discover the treasure room there. Inside they found many treasures, but the sword wasn't there. While they were searching, a phantom knight suddenly appeared behind them and began trying to kill them. And this knight, folks, was none other than the protector of the sword. Damn, we finally got this, huh? The guys had a tough time, but they managed to defeat that phantom knight, and along with his defeat, they obtained one of the Tain legendary swords. With the title of Spirit Slayer, Subaru possessed the Sword of Life, a sword charged with so much mana, that if the enemy is struck, their soul is destroyed. Subaru and the gang leave there, and once again, they go to Old Rome's cabin. There, Subaru learns more that Petelgeuse was in an area near forests. Yet another one, always forests, of course. Subaru's group manages to intercept Petelgeuse and his fingers as well. It was obvious that Subaru could use other means to avoid actually dying. Subaru takes a lot of punishment, but his group manages to destroy all of his fingers. Now all that was missing was Petelgeuse. Subaru was so happy that Petelgeuse was the only one left to die. But guys, there's a little problem. Remember that Petelgeuse can possess the Subaru, so this ends up happening. Subaru ends up being possessed and his fate is sealed. The only alternative he sees is to kill Petelgeuse by plunging the sword into himself. The Spirit Killer sword would kill both Subaru and Petelgeuse, since it affects their souls. Petelgeuse ends up terrified of dying at her hands and forcibly leaves Subaru's body, but Petelgeuse no longer had any bodies to return to. Even his middle finger had already died, and since Petelgeuse needs a body to live, it ends up dying permanently. But the Subaru already had a flat tire. Depending on the choices you make in the game, you can have a special ending for each of Subaru's partners. With Felix, for example, if you break up with him, Subaru leaves a little note telling the truth behind his memory loss. With Beatrice, you end up comforting her about all the sadness she's experienced. With Elsa, well, that's it. Immoral acts. Subaru got the revenge he wanted, but it ended up costing him his life. And the most impressive thing, guys, is that return through death is such a strong power that it managed to bring Subaru back. Man, even though the Sword of Life tried to destroy his soul, he managed to go back in time. That guy's a real hacker, man. Well, for those who are curious, he's back in the Apple Shack again. I wanted to thank TrashKawa for translating a good part of the route. Zenny, Zaz, the people at Pleiades Translations, and Ice from Witch Cult Translations. Guys, thank you so much to each and every one of you. So, what's your opinion on this story? Was this revenge really worth it? Leave a comment below. And even if everything goes wrong, you can always start from zero again.